amazing session, man. I've got people like raving about it already.
Wow.
Man, it's amazing. Like, I told you to bring the energy.
Yeah.
You brought the roof down. You brought the roof down.
Let's go. Are we designing for good enough? Are we designing for just good enough? Right? Because you start to think about where do we go in terms of design of events, of experiences. What does that start to look like? And I bring it back to this sense of wonder, right? It all starts with asking this question, like, I wonder if I can do meeting synthesis. I wonder if I can start to analyze the data that I have. I wonder if, and you keep on going. And most of the time, like one of the pieces that Brian was talking about is most of the time we try to design for the best, but I actually think like disruption starts with just the better, right? How do you get to 6? How do you get to 7? And so we talked a lot about what matters now as we went over the AI landscape. Events are changing, right? The whole landscape of events is changing. This is Lynn. She is an event planner, a visionary one. Imagine she's you, right? And she's just starting to think through, how do I use AI at every single point throughout curating an event? Like, what would that look like? And I started to think, okay, well, if I was Lynn, I always want 5 of like the most important things always kind of come top of mind. The first one is, how do I differentiate an experience? With exhibitors, sponsors, how do I demonstrate ROI, right? And by the way, if I'm off on any of these, feel free to like let me know. Accessible and inclusive, more than ever before, right? Really important. We're all in this room to not just hear the speaker, right? You're actually here to also connect with one another. So sparking connections. And then last but not least, and this is where AI starts to hit the road and fly, how do we adapt and act in real time? As our events are unfolding, as it hits 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, how will AI partner with us then? Not all the pre-planning, but like then. So, Feedloop, Cvent, by the way, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies, I just want to say, but I did take a look at like what was the current landscape for events. And about a year ago, some of you have probably already played with this. I feel like this is like base level, right? Feedloop and Cvent, they launch session generators, right, for like description. So a lot of the text. So a speaker might send you, their blurb or their keynote. I want to pull out just a little bit of that, or I want to generate a bit of a social marketing play, right? How do I generate content that way? They've really embedded a nice way to say, hey, what's your audience? Who's the speaker? What does their session look like? And you can then automatically like plug and play there. So that'd be like level 1. This is pre-event. As you start to shift into like Bizzabo and Click, one thing that struck me was they have the smart badges. And what I love about that is that they have lights at the bottom of it that they can use for different things. So it's reusable, it's recyclable, it's sustainable. But this smart badge is going to be transformative through the rest of the journey, and I'll show you how. But the easy one, you'll notice that the badges are tapping together. As I tap a badge, and I was like, I don't have mine, that's embarrassing. I looked down. As I was like, hey Candace, so nice to meet you, I might be like, boop, right? That is gonna trigger and feed into the algorithm later on. But let's say like Candace and I met up, and there's a bit of time and space throughout the conference to say, hey, you're gonna wanna connect with a few people, let's do a bit of matchmaking. So X.AI, also acquired by Bizzabo, does curated matchmaking based on who you are and what your interests or intent of the conference is. So if I wanted to meet more suppliers, more vendors, more people, if I was prospecting, whatever I'm interested in as an attendee, I can now start to like get plugged into like a quick 15-minute coffee chat, right? Pretty cool. I was getting really excited about this. As the event continues, the event starts up, and I come on stage. There are a few different examples, and we've covered this a little bit, right? So Interprify, Wordly is another one, and I would actually argue ChatGPT is probably getting better than the rest of them, where even though it's a generic LLM, I could start to live translate and live do captioning, right? So this is a view of that. As I continue on, I was like, well, are there any stats? Like, well, what do people care about most? And Forrester just dropped this report that said event planners, and I'd be curious if everyone in this room, demonstrating ROI matters most. Is that right? Is that fair to say? Okay. Someone's like, most? Is that the most important thing? Right. So, and I think that's a debate, right? But how do you demonstrate ROI? Let's bring it back to Bizzabo and the click badge. So imagine that this is a map of your event. These blue dots represent people, right? So live, what I love about where they're going is that you can get location-based insights as an event planner as your day unfolds. So I can track people, right? To say, hey, are they at the exhibitors that I thought I would drive the traffic to that exhibitor to? And where it starts to change the game is AI, I would say, notices that out of the entire exhibitor hall, there's actually a gap. That top right corner with the red box, nobody's going there right now. I promised the exhibitor that they would get X amount of people and nobody's visiting them. Now what I start to do is Bizzabo would gamify the whole piece, where it says, hey, I'll give you 150 points. I don't even know what the points go to, but I'll give you 150 points if you go check out this vendor. So now as a participant, I'm like, I want 150 points. I'm running and I'm like going to check it out. I get extra points for checking in with that vendor or taking a look at their demo or whatever it is, and that allows me to now start to prove ROI in a really meaningful way, right? As you were all sitting at breakfast, imagine you all had click badges, right? Instead of saying like, hey everybody, we're starting in 10 minutes, get your butts in the room. Now I can actually just start flashing an orange light, and it's like, whoa. My badge is flashing, is that supposed to happen? Like, oh, that probably means I think we need to go, right? Or there's a bit of communication that that's what happens. So there's a lot of different ways you can play with these badges. And then last but not least, as they continue this journey, there's this piece of personalized synthesis of what the conference was. So Jane gets back, and as she lands, it says, hey, guess what? At CanSpep over the past week, you made 53 new connections. Pretty powerful. You indicated that you wanted to follow up with about 8 people. So click here to start to send them a message. And you know, I'm going to do this in a second, so don't blame me. But a lot of speakers say, hey, you probably want the session topics and the content and blah, blah, blah. Here's a link to all their resources. These are all my keynotes that I plugged in, just a shameless plug. But anyway. The whole point being, like, exploration is the spark to innovation, right? The whole question of how, I wonder what. So we've zoomed out to zoom in on the AI landscape. We've taken a look at event experiences. And now there's this piece around creating events with care. Most people design today and wait for the disruption to hit them tomorrow. But I actually think that the people in this room are the ones who are going to disrupt today as you design tomorrow. CanSpep, thank you so much for having us. My name's Kiew.